Welcome to the Be Collaboration Journey of Possibility conversation with my co-host Erkan Ali, myself Jill Tiny, and our very special guest,
extra special guest,
Mr. Nick Horton. Welcome.
Welcome, Nick.
Welcome.
So you're 6 months in, aren't you?
Yes.
How does it feel?
Part of a journey. I mean, it sounds like a cliche in the journey of possibility, but it is. I mean, after 6 months, I said it in the car on the way back from last night. So you move from A to B, and I know I've moved from A to B. I can feel I've moved from A to B.
Yeah.
But there's also that kind of excitement of, oh, there's a long way to go here.
C, D, E, F, G, H.
When you start moving, you start realising how far there is to go. But when you're still, you feel like the smallest things you've travelled so far, but you haven't really.
No,
you kind of occupying yourself. So first of all, for us, this is a real opportunity to explore, to challenge each other, to have some fun, maybe get a bit serious. We've had nobody's walked off yet, so. You know, it's always the first. One question I want to ask you. So, you live in Hertford.
Yes.
How did you end up in Hertford?
Very good question. So my best friend who lived was in the same corridor as me in the house of residence at university. So I've known him since the age of 17. So I'm not going to tell you how many years that is, but you can guess. So I was his best man, he was my best man, all that kind of jazz.
Lovely.
And he lives in Hertford.
Okay.
And so when I came back from Japan, I lived in the central London for 9 months and absolutely hated it. Mm-hmm. And then had a chat with him and he said, have a look around Hertford. And
the rest is history.
The rest is history. So here we are.
How long ago was that?
That was 2013, so I rented for a while and then decided roots down and Hertford is just around the corner.
Yeah, that's what you two both think then.
Yeah, good fun. So what some people have been saying to us when they first come to Be Collaboration is it's very confusing in various ways. How did you find it when you first arrived, and what was the catalyst that made you go, do you know what, I want to be part of this crazy bunch even if I don't understand it?
I didn't know quite how crazy it was.
You hadn't let all that out at that point, yeah.
Well, I guess two questions. I guess the collaboration part for me was, and the B, but the collaboration, I guess, is the bit that resonated with me.
Yeah.
And it was just a conversation in passing. Somebody mentioned the word B collaboration. I kind of went, oh.
Rewind.
What was that you said?
Hold on a minute.
Tell me a little bit more about that, please. And
what did they tell you?
Do you know what? I can't honestly remember. It was Tracy Hardacre and Andrew Fairclough. It was part of BNI, and it was a conversation I had with them. And there's something around. I can't remember honestly what the context was now, but I just remember the collaboration. And I was like, ooh, tell me more. Hold on. And then. So that was the initial kind of spark of interest, if you like.
Yeah.
And then I turned up. I think I just went on the website, didn't I? And I just kind of said, I would like to come. And I did a polite email back. We're looking forward to having you.
So Jill wasn't doing the emails back then? Horrible. Are they just for me, horrible emails?
Yeah.
So
it's just as easy as that?
Yeah.
It was as easy as that. And then I rocked on up. And I guess there's two things I remember about when I first turned up was I personally wasn't quite ready, and I remember having this conversation with both of you because, and I could tell you why I wasn't ready, because at the end of every meeting you say to come and join us in the bar.
Right.
And I actually started feeling anxious about going to go meet new people in the bar. And it had nothing to do with B collaboration, it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know what? Not quite ready for this yet. So that was I think in November, something like November last year. And I think I was still a bit like a bunny in the headlights there. So I kind of like left it, and then I came back in January, I think it was. And my first impressions was, again, it was that the word that keeps it's collaboration. It was just kind of, oh, hello, this is a group of people who are genuinely supporting each other, and it's done in a very kind of engaging, fun, relaxed format. And I think if I was to give one sentence that sums it up, it is you can be who you are in the room, and that was the lasting impression when I walked away. And that's when I went, I'm in.
Okay. I think it probably helped that I stalked you quite a little bit as well.
Well,
we kept bumping into each other, didn't we?
Yes.
Just don't know where you live.
We didn't know we were neighbours until.
You walk out your house, he's just standing there. He's left the house. He's got in the car.
Don't tell my secrets. What happened? He literally walked across the cricket field, and as he's coming out of this bush through the bushes, he came out of the bush.
I came out of the bush.
You'd come, but I was kind of waiting for you. Stood there ages waiting, and then we were walking into town, and then we ended up both going to the choir at the same time. We're like,
that was, I was like, that was all in the space of a few weeks, wasn't it?
I think it was a few days, something like that,
It was interesting because I spoke to one of our guests yesterday, and he said, what we're doing in Big Hall is incredible, and he said, I lost my train of thought there, but he said that, you know what, I've gone, I was holding it, and I thought, as soon as I hold it, I'll forget it, but it was this kind of, so I wanted to ask you a question, what is it about collaboration? Because obviously, until you get involved with something, you have no idea that you don't know. It's on the other side of a wall. It's now you're making your relationship with it. But you obviously already had an interest in this idea of collaborating and collaboration. Mm-hmm. So what do you think that is that something that's been a theme in your life, or is it something that's kind of emerging for you, or how would you articulate that?
It popped into my life. I wouldn't say it was a feature of my life, but it definitely popped into my life in 2003. I still remember the year. And I was in Japan doing a job that didn't exactly inspire me. But what did inspire me was Japan. So I was in the right place, but doing the wrong thing. And I remember sitting there going, well, why am I doing this? And the answer was, I'm doing it for money. And don't we all? And I was thinking, well, and then kind of like the few questions popped into my brain. I've got kind of like a kind of vivid imagination, quite a lateral thinker, so I was kind of like, well, money, what's money? Never really asked myself that question before. And why do we have to do stuff for money? And
just because everybody else is.
Yeah, and I kind of sat there thinking, well, and then at that moment in time, I thought of setting up a currency because I wanted to. There's my father and my uncle, both entrepreneurs, and we've been brought up around entrepreneurs. You kind of know and feel and smell how entrepreneurs think and work. And although I'd had jobs in that field, in that genre, there was always kind of like pushing the edges, pushing the boundaries, which is something that always excites me. But so I thought to myself, well, if I want to be an entrepreneur, and what's stopping me is that need for money, then how do I replace money? And I thought, well, okay, I can't be the only person in this space that thinks like this. So why don't we have a currency for entrepreneurs where we can just swap on services? And then we don't need that awful thing called money. Yeah. We can go off and do our own thing. So, and that led to, that was in 2003. And that, I went down, spoke to some programmers and realised that the world wasn't quite in that space, and B, the technology actually in 2003, you go back to that space and we had internet, but it was really basic, it was HTML. And I kind of hit so many brick walls and thought, okay, this isn't going to happen. And
so would you say you were starting to have ideas about something like Bitcoin or some kind of digital currency, or was it more of a medium to swap? Was it more of a swaporama,
like a
swap shop?
Yeah, I think that's where the collaboration came in, because the collaboration is, you've all got people kind of like supporting each other, and you all have services or skills sets that you want to exchange for each other, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that straight. What you do, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. It can go around in a circle. So I think that was where the currency came in. So the platform, the currency. We use the word currency, and actually it's a medium of exchange is a better word.
Yes.
It's purely a medium of exchange. So it's going right back to to the markets when the peasants had enough food to start bartering in the bar.
But
It's really where it's taking it back to.
I don't know if you know, but you're aware that the terminology and the language, once you start asking those questions, like, what is money? Why do I need money? Where does it come? You start that for me is like your genius is starting to go, hold on a minute. But there's language that gives a lot of things away. So bank is what?
Yes.
You think of it as a building, don't you? And a bit like Barclays.
Yes.
But a bank is something that sits on a riverbed.
Yes.
What's a current? Currency flows all the money back to
yeah.
So all these things are hidden in language when we talk about these things.
Yes.
But because we have not been, this is kind of what we call occult knowledge. It's hidden from us, but it's there. It's in plain view. And when you start extrapolating language, like mortgage is death grip. But you're in the middle of.
Of course, yeah. Mort.
Mort,
Yes, Latin for
you know, and so all these things are embedded in language, but the common parlance or our understanding of it, we don't know. Well, what about changes? We don't know the language that, if you like, the people that own the banks and run the corporations and run the governments are using. The effect of it.
Yes.
And then if you use the word spell, what is a spell?
Well, it can be it's a witch, or it can be put an ing on it. It means something completely different.
Yeah, but if you think of a spell, is the words are the spells, because we're in the illusion of certain things like money is real.
Spell time as well.
Spell, yeah, but spell like as in a
but there's lots of different ways of looking at language and how it's adopted and what it's meant to mean and what it means now. And
for sure, but why interesting though, right? So when you talk about money and currency, why is there currency and why is there banks and where does it all go? Where does the currency flow to? It's not flowing down, is it?
No.
We were talking about that the other day. But it's interesting. You started asking these questions and you kind of put in. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, it was just kind of. And then, I'll be honest with you, I got swept underneath the because I hit so many barriers, and I felt I was on my own, and you're in a foreign country, foreign language, foreign culture, so there wasn't a support network around it, it was just too much to do, too hard, and I left it. And then, of course, we move on to 2008.
Fast forward a bit,
and thoughts around currency suddenly come back to the fore, don't they? Because we have a global financial crisis. I was working in the financial industry. In fact, I've met the person who invented the instrument that created the security-backed, mortgage. So, lovely person. Didn't know where that, obviously had no idea where that was going to lead the world. But so you move on to that, and then hold on a minute. I remember that. I had a thought around that, and then I did a bit of digging, and then Bitcoin was right at the beginning of its existence. So we're talking 2000.
Did Bitcoin emerge ahead of the pack, or was it like there was lots of digital currencies starting to pop? Because I really don't remember.
I think Bitcoin was the beginning.
I think it was the one that hit the public consciousness the most. Now, I don't actually know. I don't have deep enough knowledge to actually categorically say.
Was it like a Betamax VHS?
Yeah,
there might have been.
And then suddenly,
but I don't have that. I don't have that
was,
deeper dive, so
Logic
there might not have been there. But certainly Bitcoin, and then by the time I came back to Japan in 2012, and then I'd heard that the things like the Brixton pound were starting to pop up.
Yeah.
And the Brixton pound was an interesting concept. And the Brixton pound was exactly where I got my brain to as a community. I mean, there's a wider community, but they were wanting to keep a currency in a community.
Does Bristol do it as well?
Bristol, Torness, I think was another one. And actually, we do the 600.
Is there?
But I mean, we're including like knitting circles now, so. But there are a lot more of these kind of little tiny community currencies than I mean the big ones are Bristol and Brixton.
Have you come across the Ubuntu movement?
Is that in Switzerland?
He's based in South Africa, but they've started a town in Canada that's being used as an experiment around the whole town having this exchange of service, and it is a case of, well, you do something for me, but if you do something for him, and then I do something for him, and so it's not necessarily we pay each other, but and so every week the mayor of this town in Canada reports back on how it's going.
Oh, wow.
And every time you see him, he's like, it's amazing. He's just blown away by how everybody's got together. But it had to be a very close-knit community, and it had to be with everyone's permission, and they're all ready for it. That's just amazing. So